We are live.
And we are live. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is James. Also have Melanie as always. We are Wednesday, 11:30. So we are, of course, talking to local businesses, charities, events, whatever you'd like to share. If you'd like to join us in the future, please reach out to me or Melanie. We'd love to have you. And we do this live to keep it interactive. So if you have any questions, please post them and we'll get them answered while we talk. Or if you see this later on, send us a question and we'll be happy to follow up and get the answer for you that way. But anyway, today we have Kathy with Flip Flop Sanctuary. How are you today, Kathy? Almost called you Flip Flop.
That's okay. Go ahead, call me Flip Flop. I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Very well. Very well. So let's get started. I mean, I think all of us are slowly becoming more animal lovers than the past. And we're seeing a lot more rescues and stuff like that. How did you get into this? How did this get started for you?
I've had animals my whole life, and I've always saved animals. I didn't actually start the 501c3 until COVID hit, because COVID almost overnight destroyed my business. And prior to that, this was always self-funded. I always had between 20 and 70 animals at any given time that I was caring for. And I mean, I wasn't ever rich or anything, but I always made enough money to fund it myself. And then when COVID kind of took out my business, I was left with all these animals that were relying on me for food and shelter and vet care. And so I started the 501c3 and so that I could be, start reaching out to people to fundraise.
So explain to people what a 501c3 is, because a lot of people don't know what that is.
Okay, so that is your nonprofit designation through Uncle Sam, through the government. And basically it allows some things for us as the sanctuary that we get tax breaks, but it also allows for individuals as well as companies, when they donate, we can give them a receipt and they can use that as a tax deduction. We recently needed new tires on our transport van, which is what we use for rescues and to rehome and also for vet appointments. Okay. And the tires are expensive. It was almost $1,000 just for the tires. Right. And I reached out to a few tire companies, and sure enough, one of them donated tires to us.
Oh, that's nice.
And then the local Goodyear right in Prince Frederick, they installed the tires for us at cost, which was really nice. Yeah. So, and because we have that 501c3 designation, not only does it allow for that business to use it as a tax deduction, but it kind of adds credibility to what we do. Like, there's so many scams out there nowadays, and so when you can prove that you have that, you have an EIN number through the government, and then you also get your nonprofit designation, and it kind of adds credibility to what you're doing.
Right. Okay.
And according to this, looks like you have about 80 animals. Is that still accurate?
I would have to do a count. We only do it like once a month. Although it's kind of funny because we do a head count every night for the outside critters, to make sure, because we try to allow everyone to free range for at least 6-7 hours a day. And we have about 4 acres here, and hang on, my throat. I have allergies. The pollen is so bad after rain that, wow.
Killing everybody right now.
So, and everything is fenced in, and it's semi-secure. It's rare that anybody goes outside of the fencing, even though they can. So at night, when the sun starts going down before it's dark, we feed everybody so they come running, of course, and then we put everybody into hard predator-proof cages. So we kind of do a head count then. So I can tell you how many hens we have, and we have 12 hens, and we have 13 guineas, and we have 11 roosters, and we have 16 geese. and we have 3 Pekins, and we have 4 Rowan ducks and 1 Khaki Campbell, because I go to each pen and I make sure that everybody went up like they were supposed to.
Mm-hmm,
2 ewes and a potbelly pig, and the cats, we don't always see them that are outside every day because they're, they hang out in the woods, but I usually can pick them up on the security cameras and make sure I see everybody go to the feed bowl because they're semi-feral. And so if anybody's missing, we can have a heart trap and try to, like we recently had to trap one of our feral cats because she had an eye infection.
Oh, no.
Well, she did well with it. We trapped her. We brought her inside. The hardest part was on us trying to medicate her twice a day for 10 days. And we set up an appointment at the Calvert Well Pet Clinic. They were very kind to help us out with that. And they're also a 501c3 nonprofit.
Right.
So, and we try to help out. Like if we get, I recently had a lady donate 2 big bags of towels to us, and we need all of them. But sometimes we get extra stuff, and we'll take and share them with the Spot or with Calvert Well Pet Clinic, or down to the animal shelter, the Linda Kelly Animal Shelter.
So, where do these animals come from?
Well, most of the roosters came from the animal shelter. We have 11 roosters, and 5 of them recently, within the last year and a half, came from the Linda Kelly Animal Shelter.
Linda Kelly, right on 231. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As did the cats that we recently adopted. We wanted some more cats for outside because, with all these outside birds and feed and all, we have a rodent problem because we live in the woods. So we kind of would like to keep the cats to deter them, and they will. They'll actually keep them away. And so I went, I reached out to Jamie down at the animal shelter, and I said, hey, can you let me know the 2 least likely adopted cats, and then that's what we'll take. And so she, waited up. The next day she called me and said, okay, I got a couple picked out for you, and they were not friendly at all. Well, and then we brought them back here and we put them in a nice large cat condo, and we kept them for a little over 30 days in that cat condo out back where all the other animals are near the barn, so that they could acclimate to the sights and sounds and kind of get used to us. And then we turned them loose. And they've hung around nicely. They still don't let me pet them, but they do come when they hear the shaking of the food can. They come running to the food bowl. So.
Right. So, this type of setup, I guess some people don't realize, is like certain facilities are like, you're a nonprofit, right? So certain facilities are state funded or county funded or government funded in some capacity. There's some money that comes in. And then there's facilities that don't have any sort of that kind of funding. It's just kind of like whatever they get. Where do you you get nothing, right? You get nothing from any support. So any support that you get is going to come from the community around you. And that's how you survive to take care of these, I don't want to say misfit animals, but animals that people aren't really wanting. Like, you saved those cats from the Linda Kelly and you gave them a place and a purpose. And what a lot of people don't know or realize is many cats are euthanized every year, especially in this county. I mean, when I say many, I don't mean like hundreds, I mean thousands. And it's because there's just not enough places for them to go. People don't take them, but your outlet was able to take some cats that maybe would never have gotten adopted out because, like you said, they weren't friendly, but now they're in your sanctuary creating a purpose and helping you, but it gives them a good life as well. They're cared for.
Right. And they, before we release them, they've been neutered or spayed. They've had their vaccinations. And they're ear tipped, meaning, at a glance, if someone else sees them because they're running around loose, they can see that ear tip has occurred. And so they know that they're in some kind of program.
Right.
We recently realized from the security cameras that there's another cat that's shown up at the property. And I haven't been able to get a good enough picture of him yet to see if he has that ear tip. But if he doesn't, we'll try to trap him and get him neutered and get him vaccinated and then re-release him. And that way he can live out his life here, and have a good life.
Sure. Right.
We have a senior potbelly pig here. He actually turned 19 in March, which is way past his expiration date. And he came from a rescue that I went on 19 years ago with Linda Kelly. And of course, that's obviously before she passed, but that's who the shelter is named after, is Linda Kelly. And she and I rescued him along with 13 siblings. Well, it was 12 siblings. It was a total of 13 babies that had been dumped on a production farm. And of course, they were potbelly pigs, so the farmer had no use for them, and he was going to destroy them. And we went and saved them. And I took in 3 of them, and then we were able to successfully rehome the other 10. And Puma's the only one left that I know of.
Gotcha. Okay. So just kind of, it's kind of important for people to understand exactly how this flows, because oftentimes it's unknown, right? They just don't know. They think that every animal has a home, and that's just kind of how it works. And a lot of times every animal doesn't have a home, and people, I can say, like, in our industry, and James can say this too, we have people that have to rehome animals all of the time. And sometimes people leave animals behind, like during the foreclosure, when people are getting, foreclosed on, they couldn't take their pets with them to rentals and stuff. So unfortunately, they just left them. They just left them in the houses. And sometimes they were found alive and sometimes they weren't. So the ones that were found alive, then they would be given to the shelter in hopes that somebody would take them. So a sanctuary like this is nice. What kind of, I know you've covered some of the animals. Obviously, you got some roosters.
We were talking.
I'm going to turn this around and see if you can see. Can you see that duck there in the pool?
Duck in the pool?
Yeah, let me see. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer here.
Yep. We see the duck.
So it's interesting what you said about, foreclosed houses and stuff, because we actually, we have 2 roosters. Sorry, I got to readjust the pillow that fell over. There we go. We have 2 roosters that were abandoned in foreclosed houses that we took in from the shelter. And then that duck that you just saw, he and another duck came to us from the shelter, and the lady that had them didn't know about ducks, and she lost her home, and she was living out of her car with the ducks.
Oh my gosh.
And she was kind of destitute, and this was, after COVID had hit. And because she didn't have the money to buy the food for these guys, she was feeding them scraps from the restaurant where she worked. And ducklings have very specific nutritional requirements, especially when they're young. And unfortunately, the different feed stores that sell these little babies who are so adorable when they're little and yellow and fluffy,
right.
They don't always educate people. They just say, give me your money and take these little babies home. And so the reason why Waddles is inside in that pool is because his legs grew deformed because of malnutrition. If we had gotten him 2 weeks earlier, we could have saved him. We could have fixed the problem. He came with another duck, and that other duck's name is Puddles, and he is outside within the duck flock with the other ducks, because we were able, with bracing and nutritional supplements and vitamin B shots, and we braced his feet with bandaging and stuff every day for 3 weeks, and we were able to correct his feet. But poor Waddles, his feet curl in so badly that he can't walk properly. And so he lives inside with us. And I swim him every day. We fill up the tub and he swims, and people are like, ooh, he poops in the water. And I'm like, well, what do you think you're swimming in when you jump in the bay?
Don't tell people.
At least my fiberglass tub I can wash.
Don't tell people that. I'm just kidding.
Right? Well, that's the other thing. When people adopt these little fuzzy ducks, they don't realize ducks poop like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Melanie and I were talking about that yesterday. It seems like people like giving the baby ducks as gifts for Easter.
Yes.
What advice would you give to a parent that wants to buy a baby duck for their kid? Because like you said, they're adorable when you get them. You hold them in the hand, but then a year later, you got a full-size duck.
Don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
She said, don't.
Because
Just don't.
And it's illegal to dump them. And people think, oh, well, I'll just put them on the pond or, at the HOA river. Or we have 3 ducks out back that came all the way from Ohio.
What?
There's another rescue out there called Good Sprout Rescue. And they got inundated with a bunch of these domestic ducks that got dumped at a water treatment facility. And so we said, yeah, we'll take those 3. And a group of volunteers made sure they made it our way. And people think, oh, well, we'll just release them. And it's sad because domestic ducks are not equipped to survive in the wild. It actually would be a kinder thing to drop them at the animal shelter, take them to an animal shelter, and they'll probably be euthanized. But domestic ducks are not equipped, both physically, because they're too heavy to fly properly. Most Peking ducks are a breed that grow really fast and they can't really fly. And they don't have that instinct. That instinct has kind of been genetically manipulated out of them. So they have no clue how to survive in the wild.
Right. Right. It's like, and don't feed wild ducks or wild birds, because then they become reliant upon that. And they don't learn, especially as little ones, how to find their own food. And then it seems like fun in the moment. And I'm going to tell you from experience, there was this giant swan across the creek from me. And I used to live on this cove, and you don't realize how big those suckers are. They're huge. And I was like, I'm going to get some bread. So I went and I got some bread, and I threw a couple pieces of bread out there, and that little big sucker came floating on over.
Right.
It was like, and I was like, oh, look how big and cute you are. And then the next day when I went outside, it saw me, and it was like, and I was like, nope. And it finally went away. I didn't feed it anymore. But I mean, one time, and that thing was like going to move in, didn't even
well,
want to
they can be aggressive sometimes too, especially if they have a nesting mate in the area. And you don't think that a swan or even a goose is going to hurt you, but they have the capacity to hit you with their wings. People are worried about them biting with their bills, which they can do a little bit damage there, but the real damage comes when they hit you with that wing. Their wings are really strong. And they could really, they could break your nose easily if you get bonked in the face by one of them.
They are big and they are aggressive. We a long time ago, we used to ride dirt bikes when I was a kid, and we had one fly up and hit my friend like dead in his chest and almost wiped him off the bike.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, they were not afraid of us.
Yeah, he probably rode past and he didn't even realize it, but there was his mate probably had a nest right there.
Yeah, and I mean, that's any animal, any mother animal, any paternal animal protecting, they always get more aggressive, but that was just shocking to us. I'm like, hey, look at that geese. Oh, it almost took Travis off the dirt bike.
Yes,
Oops, poor Travis.
He survived. The duck survived too, so for the goose.
Well, tell us about the, I think it was a rooster you were telling us about before we hopped on here, that you all had some activity with and saving its life and good stuff. So tell us about that.
So that's him in the background. His name is Cookie. He was actually a feed store surrender. When people see these little baby chicks in the different feed stores, they don't always realize how they got there. They don't usually buy them from like a local farmer. They're actually shipped there through the postal service. That's a whole nother story, but and oftentimes when they arrive, they are sickly or close to death. And so we reached out to the local feed stores and said, hey, instead of just setting these sick babies in the back room until they pass, because they're not going to take them to a vet, and they don't even have to, because the animal welfare laws and abuse laws really don't apply to farm animals like they do to a cat or dog. Can you imagine somebody putting 5 or 6 kittens in a box and shipping it across the country, what would happen? We would be outraged. But they do that all the time with baby chicks. They hatch out. Literally hours later, they stick them in a box with holes in it and ship them across the country.
Wow.
And sometimes they do fine, but oftentimes they don't. And so now the feed stores can call us and say, hey, we have this sick baby. Can you come and get it? And we will. And that's how we got Cookie. And then, and he was on death's door. He was in bed. He was dehydrated. He wasn't eating. His little bottom was kind of pasted shut where he had gone to the bathroom. And since he didn't have a mom or anything to help clean him up, it just kind of pasted to him. At any rate, we saved him. He did great. And then about 6 months ago, he got some kind of a puncture wound or something on his foot outside. Who knows? He stepped on a stick wrong, or maybe he got into a fight with one of the other roosters. I don't know. I didn't see it happen. But at any rate, it got infected and we couldn't get the infection under control. And unfortunately, in this area, there are not chicken vets. And I ended up taking him all the way to Pennsylvania to finally get the foot straightened out properly. We couldn't get after 4 or 5 rounds of antibiotics, strong antibiotics, we couldn't get it under control. It was traveling up his leg. And the only way to save him was to amputate his leg, which is what we did. And once it heals completely, we already have a place that's going to donate a prosthetic. They're going to 3D print a prosthetic for him.
Oh, wow.
Which will be nice, but honestly, he may not need it. He's doing so well. He hops around. He chases after his girls. He can't really do his thing because he only has one leg, but he's very happy. He eats well. He dust bathes well. He scratches around in the dirt with his beak because he can't really do that with his feet now because he only has the one foot. So we'll see what happens. We can't get the end of the nub to heal completely. We had an issue with it here. Sorry, this one is like, she's kind of free flighted throughout the sanctuary. And so she thinks I should be talking to her instead of you guys. But anyway, once we get that to heal, and it's almost there, once the skin has grown over it completely and healed, then he'll go back outside full time.
I'm surprised to hear with all the farmland we have around here that there's no vets that do chickens around here. What's the reason for that?
So, because most people don't spend money on chickens, they cull them. They just, it kind of makes me sad because, like, I'm a member of some of the Facebook groups like Backyard Chickens and stuff, and they laugh about sending their roosters to freezer camp. And it makes me so sad because these roosters it's like having a dog. They follow you around. They jump up on your lap. They eat out of my hand. If given the opportunity, they are nice companions.
Right.
And people they don't see them that way. They just see them as a food source.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me sad, It's hard not to comment on every single comment when someone says, I'm sending them to freezer camp. And I don't comment because, one, I don't want to alienate people, but also we're at capacity right now. We can't. And this is the hardest part about having a sanctuary, is telling somebody, no, I can't save this animal, and it's about resources and mostly about funding. Cookie had outrageous vet bills. We just found out that one of our senior cats has bone cancer, and who knows where the funding for that vet bill is going to come. But I have a Discover card. I'm not afraid to use it. But I have to be able to pay it off.
Yeah.
And so, we can't really accept any more residents here right now because we've made a commitment to the ones that are here. And hook or by crook, we always figure out a way to take care of them.
Sure. Well,
I want to share one picture that freaked me out. Had me kind of panicked, but then made me laugh at the same time when I figured out what was going on. When I saw this picture, I immediately thought it was some kind of disease, something, poor duck. and it's actually just eating food and not very clean while it eats.
Well, here's what's funny. Most people feed geese just like a corn and grain mixture. So when we got geese, we noticed that whenever they would use the bathroom, it was like watery and like, that's not natural. And of course, we went to Tractor Supply and the other feed stores, and they all said, oh, just feed them the same thing that the chickens eat. But they had these really loose bowel movements. And I'm like, that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Because like if you see where Canada geese are, that's one of the biggest complaints about wild geese is they leave these little piles of poo everywhere. So we did some research and we found that in the wild, they would naturally mostly eat grass and greens and stuff. And so we're like, well, where can we get that? Well, most feed stores sell a grass pellet made out of orchard grass and Timothy grass and alfalfa grass, and they feed that to horses. So we bought some bags of that, and what we do is the night before we mix it in a bucket with water because they can't eat a pellet, they don't have teeth. And so it makes like this mash, like this gruel. And the first time we fed it to them, they were so excited. Like they just dived their whole head and everything into that food bowl. And that's what that picture is what they look like after they get done eating, because they just like stick their whole head in the bowl and eat. And it's so hilarious to watch.
I was just so relieved to see it was food and not a disease.
Right. You see that pool in the background? When they're done eating, they all go over to the pool and clean up.
There you go.
It's very entertaining to watch.
I mean, you got quite a few fans on here. They're all commenting all the great work you do.
Oh, I can't see. So the Judy Riggins, she is my daughter, and she brings her kids, and they're a huge help. Like I was recently in the hospital about 3 weeks ago, and I don't know what we would have done had she not stepped up and brought the kids over to help my son, because between her and my son running back and forth to the Anne Arundel Hospital and then taking care of everybody, I mean, they were lifesavers. And of all things, I couldn't believe this at Anne Arundel Hospital. It shocked me. I was there for only 2 days, and they could not make 100% plant-based meal for me. I was shocked that in this day and age that they, like, I don't eat any animal products at all. And so, of course, I could get a banana, I could get a bowl of fruit. But like I asked for a salad, and they didn't have any dressing that was 100% plant-based. And when they sent the salad up, after I specified to not put any dairy in it either, because I don't do well with dairy either, the salad had cheese in it. And so if my son had not been able to go to the Whole Foods and bring me some food, I would have starved to death in those 2 days. But how does a major hospital like that not know how to make 100% plant-based meal? It shocked me.
Yeah, don't get me started on medical facilities. But.
Oh, I know. I know, right?
And I mean, when I was looking through your Facebook, one of the things I noticed, I didn't quite capture it all, but it looked like you have a vegan Airbnb type service going on. You want to go into that?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. So it's listed out on a listing called The Vegan Stay. And it's 100% of the proceeds go to fund the sanctuary. So if you wanted to come and stay for multiple days, we have a room that has, and it's actually, the one room is booked solid all the way through the end of July. But we have another room / apartment that actually is a bedroom, a full bath, and a kitchen, and a laundry room. And you can come and stay for multiple days and visit with the animals and interact and help work if you want, clean some pens, hold some animals while we take care of their various issues. We never turn down free help.
That's pretty cool. So the properties. So
I think it's the veganstay.org. But if you just Google The Vegan Stay, And you can also learn how to make plant-based dishes. Because we cook multiple meals a day and they're all 100% plant-based, and so it's very healthy and for us, and it's healthy for the environment, and of course it's healthy for the animals.
Is this something you created, or is this just a network that you joined?
It's a network that I joined, and the Vegan Stay is fairly new. I do also have one of my rooms listed on Airbnb just because it gets a broader audience.
Mhm.
But we prefer people to book through the Vegan Stay because, like I said, 100% of the proceeds come back to us.
It's really cool. Got an
That's
idea
nice.
for you, Melanie. That's your next Airbnb. You got to get a vegan one.
There you go.
Gotta go vegan.
There you go. Well, you know what? I'm 64 and I take no medication, no prescriptions. My blood pressure is perfect. And I credit all that to my plant-based diet.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I'm the only one in my family that is not on at least high blood pressure medication or cholesterol medication, or something like that.
between your all plant diet and working hard on a farm, that's about as healthy as you can get.
Oh yeah, they people say I rescued the animals, but really, truth be told, they rescued me. So
Yeah, long-term goal. I'd love to start a dog rescue. I like dogs more than people, so
It's not nice, James.
I like people. I just love dogs.
I know dogs are good. I got my girls in here sleeping away. That's what they're doing.
I'm with James. I prefer, like, all my best friends live here with me. I can go days, sometimes even weeks, and never leave the property.
Yeah. Now you have an event coming up. Is that right? Am I recalling correctly?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about your event?
So June 10th and 11th is like a volunteer work day. We got a local company to donate a 15-yard dumpster. And because we get donations here, and a lot of times when people come and donate stuff, I don't like, if they show up with a truckload of fencing and there's some stuff in there that we can't use, I don't say, oh, take this back. We just take it all.
Sure.
And then after, months of doing this, we end up with piles of stuff that we really can't use. So there's that kind of stuff. And we also have a new area that we're trying to put fencing up for. And so we could use help with that. And Lowe's and Home Depot both donated the fencing material and the funding for that. So we have all the equipment here. We just need the manpower to get it done.
Okay.
And so June 10th and 11th, the link is in my Facebook page, both my personal page and Flip Flops Animal Sanctuary. So you can sign up, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have some plant-based snacks for everybody to eat, and hoping to get a lot of work done on that weekend.
Nice. So is there an age limit? Like what age groups, or does it matter?
Any age can come, but if you're under 16, you absolutely have to be accompanied by an adult.
Sure. Okay.
And you can't just be dropped off by the adult. They have to stay and help too.
They might not come and pick them back up, right?
Right.
I mean, we know you rely on volunteers, as we said, so they can go to any of your social media, which we have listed in the comments. And then you also rely on donations. And it looks like you have Venmo, quite a few different places, but I've seen Amazon wish list before, but I've never seen that Chewy had a wish list. So you can go to either one of those and you have a preset list picked out.
Yes, and all those links are also on our website. Our website is flipflopsanimalsanctuary.org. And at the bottom of that homepage are just all the buttons for social media and the various ways to donate.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's nice. All right. So
we love what you're doing. We love that people like you are out there to save the animals, because I know they need the help as much as we do sometimes. And not everyone has the commitment to do what you do.
Both of you want to sign up for our volunteer workday too, right?
I'll be there. I got to check my calendar, but I'll definitely be there 10th or 11th.
Calendar.
Well, and you know what?
Hey, that's not true. I do. I do, James. Don't make fun of me. But I do have also a child that I have to take places on the weekends, like sports and stuff.
Oh, how old is your child?
He's 12.
Oh, he
Old
would
enough.
love it here.
Old enough to
You can get a
volunteer.
bag of apples. You can get a bag of apples or carrots, and he can feed all the critters, and he can get up close and personal with a big giant turkey.
He
And
would. That's the problem.
he should.
My
Yeah.
house would be a sanctuary too. He loves the animals. No, my kid is an animal lover. He actually would really enjoy it, and I think it would be a good experience. And so, yeah, I mean, absolutely, I'm not against it at all. If he could, he asked if he could go to the Humane Society. Well, we can't do that. That's very much a problem because we never come home without something.
Right.
Yep.
So,
I know.
yes.
Well, I have the same issue. Whenever they call me to come down to the animal shelter to pick up like a rooster or something, I'm like, okay, well, have it ready in a carrier. I'll be there at 3:00 on this day because because I'll come home with everything.
Yeah. So somebody on Facebook wants to know if they can bring their granddaughter, which we've already said yes, as long as they're accompanied by an adult. And what's the address? We will post the address. It's the same address we had up earlier,
Comments.
So now that address is not where the sanctuary is located.
Okay.
Okay. That's a mailing address. And
What's the address? I'll post it.
So if they will send an email to it's Kathy with a C at flipflops animalsanctuary.org. That's my email. I will send them the information with the dates and times that are available because we have like 2-hour time slots we're asking people to sign up for, and they can sign up for multiple spots. Because we can't have like 30 people show up at one time.
Right.
Okay, there's not enough parking here. The reason why we don't post the physical address for the sanctuary, we try not to post it too much, is because we've had some instances where people just dump animals on the property.
Absolutely.
Once we came out and there was a poor little chicken with a broken leg in a box sitting out on the porch, and I'm like, so now we have security cameras up everywhere, and we have a locked gate at the top of the drive, and we try really hard to, we accept visits 90% of the time, any day of the week between 12:00 noon and dark. You just have to let us know to expect you so we can open the gate, and we try to discourage anyone from just dumping animals, obviously, for obvious reasons. So that's why we don't like to list the physical address on social media. So anyone can send me an email. I usually answer emails at least once a day, and we'll get them signed up, and we would love to have them come out and visit.
That would be great. That's great. So if anyone has any questions about that, you can reach out on the Facebook page to James or myself or Kathy. She's on there. We all can help guide you if you want to help her out. You want to have donations. There's like we said, there's the Chewy donation link that you can also do so that she can get supplies. The other thing is if you're looking to move and you're moving, and this is not a plug for us in real estate, but a lot of times during moves, people do get rid of old towels, sheets, things like that they don't want to take. Maybe it was a blanket that was in your closet that you've never used in 5 years, and you're like, why am I keeping this? Please donate it to, if you're not giving it to Kathy, give it to one of the shelters around because they all need them all of the time. But since we're on here with Kathy, give them to Kathy.
And we share. Whenever we have more, we share. We take stuff and drop off at the shelter and at the Well Pet Clinic, that kind of thing.
Right. Don't throw that stuff away because it is useful. It's very useful. And if you need help getting it there, I'm sure if you reached out to any of the shelters that they could work out an arrangement to meet with you somewhere, or, something. They'll work out something, if it's tight crunches. And if we are your real estate agents, we'll just take it there for you. So, all right. Well, it has been almost 40 minutes with Kathy and her birds and pets and her sanctuary and her Airbnb that's vegan, that goes to proceeds 100% go to the sanctuary. So you're looking for a place to stay, even a getaway, even if you're in the county, look it up. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right. Any last words, Kathy, before we hop off here?
No, thank you so much for inviting us on. We always look forward to opportunities to kind of spread the word about the sanctuary. And we appreciate you having us on.
Well, we
Yep.
appreciate you coming on. Absolutely. And sharing everything that you do for these animals. Look at your bird.
I know she was a rescue. We had to teach her to fly when we got her.
Oh,
She
wow.
was
How do you
12
teach a
years
bird to
old when we got
fly?
her. Well, the people that had her before us, I don't think they were like deliberately mean to her, but they always kept her wings clipped.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so when we let her feathers grow out, she didn't know how to use them. And we just slowly would, kind of take her and she would flap her wings and then she eventually learned. Now she's a really good flyer. Like she can fly through the kitchen area and down a hallway to go into the bedroom where I am.
Wow.
So she's a really good flyer now. But yeah, we had to teach her to fly because for the first 12 years of her life, she had her wings clipped.
Wow. Now, how old will she live to be? Like 50?
These guys have around 60, actually. They
60.
can live up to 60, 65 years. So she'll probably outlive me.
Right.
And then we have a Moroccan cockatoo over in the corner. And his life expectancy is actually 80.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And he was rescued as well. He's an adoptee also.
Wow. Well, Sue said, Sue Kane Gordon said, great job, Kathy. We were listening while eating lunch at our favorite vegan cafe.
Oh, yeah. Sue is one of our regular supporters. She's great.
That's great. All right, we're going to get off here. If you are watching this and you want to share it, it is shareable. Share it to anybody out there in the Facebook community. Share it on your YouTube. We don't really care. What we're going to do is get the word out about local businesses. And this one is one that's 100% relies off the community support to keep it going round. So if you're looking for a place to donate, keep the money local, look up Kathy. Look up her sanctuary. Let's do it.
All right, great. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Yeah,
Until next week, James, listen up, Maryland. Do you have somebody in the slot already?
we have a couple people. We put out a post and we had way more reaction than we expected. So I think we are covered for the next couple of months.
Yeah.
If you're watching and you commented, I reached out to most of you, but we try not to schedule too far ahead because this is live and people's lives change weekly. But I do have all your contact and we will be reaching out soon to talk to more people.
Until then, until next week, we'll see you Wednesday, 11:30. Listen up, Maryland, with James Armel and Melanie Montague. And Kathy, thanks again. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.